the TIP Annual Conference 2024. Are you ready? Believe me, it's hard to beat a person who keeps showing up every day. It shifts from winning to outlasting. And this year, the TIP Annual Conference has reached its outlasting realm. These are the words that hit us at the dawn of the introduction of this year's Annual Conference 2024 by Wendy Ologe, Africa's #1 parenting coach herself. My name is Joy Eshimokai. I am a public speaking coach. I am the founder of Prospeak Life Academy, and I am the official MC of the Intentional Parents Academy. We have grown tremendously over the years, and it's all thanks to you, our amazing community of intentional parents. Let's take a quick look back at our incredible journey. In 2018, we pioneered online conferencing to reach thousands of parents for free. In 2019, we had 25 coaches reach over 10,000 parents. In 2020, 27 coaches reached over 30,000 parents. In 2021, we had 30 coaches over 7 days reach over 50,000 parents. In 2022, we had 32 coaches over 7 days reaching 100,000 parents with over 1 million impressions on YouTube. In 2023, we had 30 coaches again over 7 days reach 150,000 parents with over 2 million impressions on YouTube. And now, TIP Conference 2024 with the team Raising Kings, those who make them, and those who sit at the table with King, with an outstanding 34 speakers. By the way, have you attended the TIP conference for 7 years straight? Then you will understand when I say you don't want to miss any session. It is an array of coaches from all over the world. The Academy has brought you the who is who of parenting to teach you parenting and make the world a better place. We are bringing you key players at this year's conference. Share the name of that speaker who you can't wait to see. Do you know any parents or parents to be? Share with them, tag them now. Spread the word and let's make this the most impactful TIP Annual Conference yet. Thank you for being a part of this incredible journey. We can't wait to see you at the TIP Academy. My name is Joy Eshimokai. Together, let's raise kings.
And yes, it is TIP Annual Conference 2024, and you're welcome to that conference you don't ever want to miss. It is 7 years. You can't beat us to it. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm called Africa's #1 parent coach. You're welcome, and to this conference themed Raising Kings. Those who make kings and those who sit at the table with kings. Today, we're going to embark on this journey to understanding the inspiration and one that is really close to my heart, rooted in the vision of intentional parenting. Sometime this year, the insight to actually put this as the theme of this year came up. However, the idea of raising kings came to me during a moment of reflection of the future that we want for our children in a world full of challenges and also full of opportunities. So we need to prepare our children not just to survive, but to thrive, to lead, and to make a meaningful impact. After the TIP Annual Conference 2023, I sat and the next thing, I started to think about was raising kings. I thought that it was just for us to use it as a framework that we run the academy on, which is actually what our framework sits on. But this year, I got the leading to get this to be a thing that every single speaker at this annual conference will speak on. You do not want to be that. 34 people will be speaking on this one theme in the next 7 days. Raising kings is about nurturing the potential of every child, because every child and every person you see is a leader in his own right. And like we say in the Intentional Parent Academy, the messiahness of your child. Every child is born in Messiah. Every child is born with a solution to a problem. The question will be, will you be able to find out the blueprint? I love the scripture that says, train up a child on the way he should go, and when he grows up, he will not depart from it. We quote it every day, become like a rhetorics, but beyond all of the things we quote, have we really sat down to think about it? Number one, it means that where the child is going, somebody needs to lead the child there. Do you know where the child is going? That's the first question. But we have all come up with this, thing that says, parenting doesn't have a manual. Is that really true? But the creator of the human being says that there is a way the child should go. So your first point of call is to find out, what is that way my child should go? I believe that before the end of this conference, you would have a lot of moments of reflection and moments of looking for that thing that your child had been called for, looking for that king that the child had been made out for. Now, raising king is about nurturing potentials. This type of parenting requires a shift in your mind. I need you to understand that it's about intentionality in our actions, in our words, even in our environment that we create for our children. It's about instilling values of accountability, values of resilience, and then your vision. It's about teaching them to hear from the person who has made them. It's about being able to think critically. It's about working collaboratively. It's about harnessing their creativity to make a global impact. And here it says today, parents, this is your call to action. Teachers, this is your call to action. The time to get ready to take your position, your posture is actually more important than your strategy. Because the Bible says that the children are like arrows in the hands of a mighty man. And I want to ask, who is that mighty man? The mighty man is you. And the positioning of how to throw the arrow up for the mighty man is more important than the strategy, because if you are not standing well, you would actually not be able to throw the arrow to hit his target. And if you're going to be raising kings, those who make kings, those who sit on the table with kings, then this conference is for you. You're here and we're excited to have you here. Our children's future depends on the foundation we laid today. We are going to be proactive, and we're going to be deliberate, and we're going to be intentional about how we're raising them. We're not only raising our children to succeed, but we're raising them to lead. We're raising them to make a difference in the world. Join me today as we walk through the transformative journey of raising kings together. We will equip ourselves with tools, with knowledge and inspiration to save and also lead the leaders of tomorrow. Let us all make a commitment today to our children's future. Let us all make commitment today to those who make kings. Let us all make commitment today to those who sit at the table with kings. Kingship has a way to actually deliver on it. And I'm going to end with this. The Bible says that.
Hi, have you heard about smart office spaces? Do you know with 4,000 naira you can own a space to work from here in Abuja? My name is Cynthia. I'm the manager at Smart Office Space. We have packages such as the shared space, private office, the seminar room, the seminar hall, the virtual space. These are things you get to enjoy when you book a space with Smart Office Spaces. Uninterrupted power supply, complimentary Wi-Fi, coffee and tea, administrative services, and janitorial services. You can also reach out to us using the number showing on the screen. So what are you waiting for? Let's see you at Smart Office Spaces.
Chukwemeka Onyenezi is a personal finance coach and a data scientist. He is the founder of the Naira Academy, an online platform dedicated to financial literacy, specifically personal finance. He has authored guides for financial literacy and self-improvement. His book, Making Financial Literacy an Inheritance, is making waves in the finance space. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Intentional Parent Annual Conference 2024, Chukwemeka Onyenezi.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and I'm happy to be here. My name is Chukwemeka Onyenezi, and I am the founder of the Naira Academy. And today, I'll be taking you on raising financially intelligent children through personal financial literacy. The theme of this year's TIP conference rings a great bell in personal financial literacy. Those who sit raising kings, those who sit at the table with kings, and those who make kings. Okay, there's one thing that is very, very common among kings. Something is very common among kings, and that is wealth. Wealth signifies a king's reach and influence. So teaching children how to create and manage wealth, multiply wealth, positions them at the table of kings in one way or the other. All right. So one of the aim of creating wealth is for us to be able to have financial freedom. And wealth starts from the process, from the point of making money, transferring that money into assets, income generating assets. At that point, we say we're wealthy. And from transforming our money into income generating assets, gather up enough security that can assure us freedom to do other things. Some of us are kings, raising our children to become servants, unfortunately. How? Because by raising children to simply become employees and work to retirement, we're raising them as servants, not kings. To raise kings, we must raise children with the mindset and knowledge to invest and become business owners and investors. You must always ring in their heads that profits are better than wages. Profits create wealth, wages don't. A lot of time in my journey of personal finance, I've come to realize that most of the problems people have lie in money management. It's not about making money. But with the younger generations, making money is becoming a problem. Yes, it's actually becoming an issue. Children are struggling to even become self-employed. After university education, you see people lying jobless, because they were raised with the mentality that they can only be employees. Why should a medical doctor only think that the only way he or she can earn is to be an employee? Why? Because that's the way they were raised. Meanwhile, a medical doctor can earn as an employee, can earn as someone earn from a private practice, that's a self-employed person, can earn from being a partner in another business, can earn from even owning a hospital. So it all boils down to parenting. So to raise kings, or those who sit at the table with kings, and those who make kings, we must either become kings or those who sit at the table with kings. I say again, to raise kings, we must either become kings or those who sit at the table with kings or those who make kings. To raise a financially literate child, you first must become financially literate. To raise a financially intelligent child, you must become one first. And money has little to do with what you know, but how you behave. Hence, you must make sure that the best version of your behavior, of yourself, must be what your children can emulate from. I want to tell you that money has a mindset, and you must develop the money mindset to raise children with the money mindset. A poverty mindset cannot raise a king. And when I say a poverty mindset, I actually do not mean poverty in money. I actually mean here, in the mind. A poverty mindset simply means you're blinded. You're blinded to opportunities. An abundance mindset, or a money mindset, like I call it, simply means you see opportunities where others don't. I remember during the COVID pandemic era, we had a lot of economic woes. It was an era where we saw a lot of difficulties. But in that era, the poor minds did nothing but complain about the economy, while the kings sat and utilized the opportunities that the pandemic brought with it. So in every difficult situation, there are always opportunities. That is what financial literacy brings to you. It helps you to see opportunities. Financial literacy is understanding and using different financial skills successfully. That's financial literacy. So to raise a king, you must become financially literate. To raise a financially literate child, you must become one. You must think like one. You must act like one. Why? Because children learn from what we do more than what we tell them. So we must be careful of what we do. Now, for adults, becoming financial literate, I'm going to paint a picture, is like a sculptor. It's like a sculptor for adults. There's a sculptor walking on a stone, on a big, formless, shapeless stone. And what's the aim of the sculptor? The sculptor wants to make an image. He wants to make an image of a man, maybe like my face. But to do that, there are very important ingredients or qualities that the sculptor needs to have to be able to achieve that image. The first is patience. The second, skills and knowledge, tools, values and attitude, and goals. And with all these qualities or characteristics, he needs one final touch for him to be able to achieve what he wants, and that's self-discipline. So with patience, he knows that forming an image out of a stone takes one strike of a chisel after another. And of course, he needs skills and knowledge for him to be able to achieve that. And of course, he needs his tools. He needs the skills. The skills are the know-how, is the craft itself. He needs his tools, his hammer, his chisel, his go-to tools for him to be able to achieve that, his craft. And very importantly, he needs to have the right values and attitude. Now, when we bring this to financial literacy, this is simply telling us that for us to become financially literate, we need patience, we need skills and knowledge, we need tools, we need values and attitude, and we need to have a goal. We need to have financial goal. And one thing brings all these characteristics together for us to become financially literate. And that thing that brings all these things together to make financial literacy come to fruition in us is self-discipline and emotional intelligence, which you're still going to come to. But I want us to know that most of the time, what brings our financial woes is not because we don't have enough skill and knowledge. It's because we don't have the right values and attitudes towards money. Values are just firmly held principles that guide our priorities. So financial values are principles that guide our financial life. So in personal finance, knowledge without values will fail you. And that's the problem that most people make. Most people feel that their way to financial literacy is just skills and knowledge. No, it is not skills and knowledge. With skills and knowledge, with no values, you're going nowhere. Without patience, you're going nowhere. Without a goal, your journey haven't even started. So all these things have to come into play. Talking about values, financial values, I'm putting so much emphasis on financial values because in my experience, I've come to find out that that is where we are lacking values and attitude. So most people have the knowledge of savings. What they actually lack is a savings value, and that's why they can't save money. So we need to work on our values. We need to work on our attitude. And what attitude? Our feelings towards money, our thinking and our viewpoint about money. So attitude affects our risk tolerance. It affects our spending. It affects our saving and investing. It affects our perception of debt. It affects, every way that we think about money. Attitude separates the rich from the poor because the poor has an attitude to save for consumption, while the rich or the wealthy will save to invest. So attitude is key in attaining financial literacy. And remember, I'm putting emphasis on you as a parent because you need to become before you can teach your children. Now, by the time we bring in patience, we'll have the skills and knowledge, we'll have the right tools, we'll begin to attain the right values, imbibe the right values, form the right attitude and goals, and begin to imbibe or get a financial goal, have a purpose for our finance. We will now need self-discipline to be able to bring all these things together and make good use of them. Self-discipline is that bridge between dreams and aspirations. Sorry, between dreams or between aspirations and achievements. Without self-discipline, you won't be able to put your attitude to work, nor will you be able to use your skills and knowledge, nor would you be able to work towards your goals. So self-discipline and emotional intelligence is key. So when it comes to money, we all respond differently. And it's how we respond to these emotions that determine how we earn, that determines how we manage, that determines how we multiply money. And this is what I share every day in our accountability group in the Naira Academy. We call it the Money Click. Because in the Money Click, we don't just aim to teach people how to gain knowledge and skills. We want to be able to imbibe emotional intelligence. We won't be able to help people begin to build self-discipline. Because without emotions controlled, without discipline in check, we ain't going anywhere with finances. And in my book, Raising Financially Literate Children, I shared how you can use emotional intelligence as a tool to raise a financially intelligent child. Don't raise children with only technical skills to earn and manage money. No. Teach them emotional skills. Manage money, or rather, managing money and coping in business relies heavily on emotions control. But teaching emotions control to children is actually more practical than theoretical. So you have to show them how to control their emotions rather than tell them. So to teach emotions control, you simply need to be able to control your emotions. So don't think you can spend money anyhow, and then and teach your children something else, and they will take what you taught them and not what they've seen you do. If you're the type who succumb to peer pressure or peer influence, you're buying an iPhone today because your friends bought an iPhone. You want to buy a new car that you don't need because your next door neighbor just bought a car and you're in competition. As you do these things, your children learn from you. You might do them and tell them something else. They would likely not take what you're telling them, but rather they will do what they see you do. And if you look deep down within you, you will see that most of your money habits are a reflection of your parents' money habits. And that is why we must become intelligent or financially literate persons for our children to be raised to become that. Well, if you want to learn more about becoming an emotionally intelligent parent, of course, you know Coach Wendy is the expert in that. Or you can always reach out to her if you need to attend becoming an emotionally intelligent parent. It's going to change your life, not just in parenting, but also in finances. In my book, Raising Financially Literate Children, I shared how we can use emotions control to become better at managing money and teach your children to do same. Now, where does discipline come in? I always say that we must all suffer one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Making money depends on principles, but it takes discipline to follow principles. Making money, I say again, depends on principles, but it takes discipline to follow principles. Principles don't change. It doesn't change with geographical location. Principles don't change by Japan. I see a lot of times when children are misbehaving or children are not being able to take responsibility, the next thing you just send them abroad. That doesn't solve any problem. If they don't have the principles here and cannot apply them here, don't apply them abroad. If you can't apply the principles of making money here, you can't use them abroad either. And that is why most times when we go abroad, the most things we do is still to engage in paid employment. Yeah, maybe there are certain other factors that limit people from going into businesses. But the point I'm trying to bring out here is that making money is dependent on principles. And that principle does not change no matter where you are. So you can be in Zamfara and be a billionaire. So far, you follow the principles of money. But to follow those principles, it takes a lot of discipline. And that is one thing we lack. Most of us lack discipline. And discipline is actually a learned behavior. So isn't discipline. In fact, we are born with discipline. A lot of discipline. Have you seen a toddler trying to learn how to walk? Each time he falls, he stands up again. Each time he falls, he stands up again. Because in him is the goal to walk like everybody else. And no matter what obstacle comes his way, he will keep trying until he works. So we're born with discipline. So we actually come to learn in discipline. So discipline is also a function of habits. Habits form good discipline. Bad habits do the opposite. So habits also are formed out of repetition, out of patterns, out of behaviors. So it's very imperative to correct the child's repeated pattern indicative of purpose, of waste, and begin to encourage patterns indicative of good values and savings by first becoming it. So self-discipline is key. Money, like I always say, has little to do with how smart a person is. It has a lot to do with how a person behaves. Because behaviors form habits. And that's why, as parents, we should be intentional with our money habits. Very, very intentional, because our children will pick them. So we should be able to guide our children in forming the right habits by exhibiting those habits in us. If you want your children to be, I'm a very frugal person because my father was frugal. So you become, or your children will likely become what you are, because their first role model are their parents. A lack of self-discipline is the beginning of all failures in life. Most times in parenting, parents feel that indiscipline is outgrown. A lot of times they say, don't worry, it's just a child, it will fade away. With time, he will outgrow it. But the truth is, a child without self-discipline will become an adult without self-discipline. And an adult without self-discipline will mismanage money. No two ways about it. And that will bring us to the issues. What are the issues with poor literacy, with poor financial literacy in our environment? What are the issues? The first issue I want us to talk about is poor money management. Poor savings habits, poor investing skills. Why? Because people lack skills in budgeting, or because people are impulsive spenders. People don't keep emergency funds. People don't have even savings. There are people who don't have savings. They don't save. But a lack of all these things I've mentioned, budgeting, impulsive spending, savings, no emergency funds, is not always because of lack of skills, but a lack of good habits and discipline. So most times you wonder why you can't make good decisions with money. You have the knowledge. It's simply because you don't spend money with reason. You spend money as a result of habits. So you've been to so many financial personal training classes, finance classes, budgeting, but you still can't see yourself budget. Because you need to budget consistently over a long time for it to become a habit. Because you are not budgeting because it is not yet a habit in you. You still have the habit of not budgeting. And how do you stop habits? You replace them with another habit. According to a paper published by a researcher at Duke University, more than 40% of the actions people perform each day were not actually decisions, but habits. So this explains why we have obsessive shoppers, wasteful spenders, and even frugal people. According to another research, when a habit emerges, the brain stops fully participating in decision making. It stops working. It stops working so hard, or it just diverts focus to other tasks. So unless you deliberately fight the habit, unless you find a new routine, that pattern will unfold automatically. That pattern of frivolous spending, that pattern of not budgeting, that pattern of not planning will unfold automatically. And if we're not careful, our children will pick up that pattern. Whenever children develop the routine of spending any money they get, you give them money, and the next thing, let's say, for example, The child develop the routine of whenever they give them money, they rush to a pastry shop and buy pastries. Or whenever they just have money and they are passing a pastry shop, they must buy a pastry. If they do that consistently over time, it will develop a pattern. And that pattern will become a habit. And whenever they pass that pastry shop later on in life, they would want to buy, whether they have money or not. Because those patterns always remain in their heads. So we must be careful of the patterns we are creating in our children. We must be conscious of them. We need to create patterns, healthy patterns, patterns of saving. Teach them to keep piggy banks. But not just to keep piggy banks. Teach them to have a goal for keeping piggy banks. And let that goal be a goal to invest. Children are not too young to invest. Teach your children to make little things. If your child has a skill, the money in the piggy bank can become a source of capital for him to invest in. Yes. Your child can bake. He puts money in the piggy bank, saves at the end of the year, Christmas. He brings out the money, buys himself materials for baking or herself materials for baking, bake, and then he's able to sell them to family and friends and make money. You're already teaching financial literacy. You're already teaching savings and investing. Remember, I always say, the problem with the money mindset among the poor is that they save. Sometimes they don't save at all. When they save to consume. So you must be careful to teach your children to save, to invest. The aim of saving is not for you to consume. It's for you to invest. So teach them to set investment goals for their piggy banks. Another issue, which is one of the biggest, is loss of generational wealth. What is a king who cannot pass on an inheritance? That's why I said earlier that many of us are kings, but we are raising servants. A survey in the United States shows that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and about 90% by the third. Bring it down to Nigeria, it's estimated that 90% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation. That's high. That's high. Why? Why is this so? Because we pay more attention in transferring money and physical assets to our children, and we fail to transfer the knowledge and skills to manage those assets and multiply them. Transfer of wealth without knowledge will only add to the statistics of lost generational wealth. I repeat again, transfer of wealth without knowledge will only add to the statistics of lost generational wealth. That 90% we talked about, we're only adding to it. We're not making things better. Because we need to understand that wealth isn't just about money and assets, physical assets. Wealth is also skills. Wealth is also relationships. So we have this high statistics of lost generational wealth because you transfer wealth without the requisite skills and knowledge to manage it. We'll have a lot of instances. Let's say, how many times have you seen that most billionaires, merchants in Onitsha, when they die, their families go from is it grace to grass? Their families go from being wealthy to nothing over a few years. Because in those few years, when that breadwinner, when that income generator dies, they would consume everything that he has left in form of wealth and even sell off the assets, and eventually they are left with nothing. Why? Because they don't even have the knowledge. Don't have the knowledge to utilize and multiply and use and manage those assets. So, but unconsciously, as we are unconsciously not raising our children, to inherit the true wealth, we are actually raising
Welcome to Rel Signature, the leading provider of non-screen educational and fun resources for children and teenagers. Since our inception in 2021, we have quickly gained the trust of parents and educators alike by offering innovative products that inspire learning and creativity. Our mission is to empower young minds by providing high quality, non screen resources that stimulate curiosity, foster creativity, build skills, and promote lifelong learning. We envision a world where children and teenagers are excited about learning and empowered to explore their interests through hands on educational experiences. Reli's Signature offers a wide range of non screen educational and fun resources designed to engage and inspire. STEM robotic kits, build problem solving skills, and spark an interest in technology. Art and craft supplies encourage self expression and boost creativity. Jigsaw and 3D puzzles enhance cognitive skills and improve concentration. Building blocks and diamond blocks develop spatial awareness and fine motor skills. Paint by number kits foster patience and a sense of accomplishment. Diamond paintings improve hand-eye coordination and relaxation. DIY science experiments encourage scientific inquiry and hands-on learning. Embroidery and latching kits enhance precision and artistic skills. Board games and card games promote social interaction and strategic thinking. Visit us at DIY World by Relic Signature, located in Redeemer Estate Plaza, off Piakasa Road, Lugbe, Abuja. Contact us on
Hello there, I'm Amina Ismail. I am a parent in the Intentional Parents Academy. Let me give you a little backstory. So, I grew up in a very warm and loving home with amazing parents. We were six girls and a boy, so it was this happy and bubbly home. And I believed I had this parenting thing in the bag. And I went ahead to start my own family. I have four sons. And then when they started growing, that was when I started to struggle. While they were younger, it was a lot easier because I had their dad. He's very hands-on too. But as they started to grow, I
Okay, sorry about that break. We're back. My apologies. That was a network glitch. So, we're talking about the issues with generational wealth, why we're losing generational wealth. You know, because we are not putting emphasis in the actual wealth. Your actual wealth, if your business person is not in your money, your actual wealth is not in the assets you've been able to acquire. Your actual wealth, if you run a business, actually lies in the relationships. Your actual wealth lies in your customer base, it lies in your skills, it lies in the discipline to be able to put all these things together. Your actual wealth lies in your ability to be able to manage the wealth, the money, the assets. So many of us will die with our crafts and knowledge of making money because while we're running multi-million naira businesses in Nigeria, our children are living abroad. They are schooling abroad and will likely remain there. And by the time that you die, you will will everything to them without the requisite knowledge to manage them. So we must become intentional in raising children with the right mindset and skill sets to manage money, not just in making it, to multiply money, to manage wealth. to multiply wealth. Another issue that we're going to look at is a poverty mindset. So the result of lack of financial literacy is a poverty mindset. Inability to see opportunities, like I always say. And I always use the COVID era as an example. I use the COVID era like an example. During the COVID-19 pandemic, people made millions while people sat down and complained. They complained and complained. What financial literacy does for you is to see opportunities where people do not. There's always an opportunity, even in the most difficult situation. Another issue, the fifth issue, is high level of debt. A borrowing mindset. There are people who have a borrowing mindset. They can't do anything without borrowing. Someone has told me before, I can't achieve anything if I don't borrow. I borrow, I use the money, and I pay back. It puts me under pressure. Why? It's because it's all in here. We have a mindset that if we don't borrow, we don't achieve. That takes us back to the foundation of having the right values and the right attitude to money. So a typical borrower might know that, yes, I'm not supposed to borrow. But yes, it's already a habit, so you keep borrowing. And if we're not careful, we don't want to raise children who would borrow. If you raise children with a borrowing mindset, they will borrow and even put you in debt. So, financial literacy makes the difference. Financial literacy is actually a choice, like another form of education. You know, one of the greatest benefits of financial literacy, like I always say, is that it opens our mind to see opportunities. And that's one of the things that I always teach in the Money Click. The Money Click is an annual program in the Naira Academy that runs from January to December. But this year, it's running for 6 months from June to December this year. And people are still welcome to join in. Because in the Money Click, we're not just teaching skills. We're not just impacting knowledge. We're influencing behaviors. We're helping people imbibe new values. We're helping people impass new values. We're helping people imbibe self-discipline required to take them to their financial destination. Financial literacy is that point where we come to understand in our money journey that disappointment can even be a gift. And that's why I keep going back to the COVID pandemic era. That disappointment was a gift in the COVID pandemic era, but only for those who were financially aware. So now that we've seen the issues, now that we've seen the importance, how do we raise financially intelligent children? How do we raise kings? Just like a farmer carefully selects the seeds he plants, we must select our money habits carefully and wisely. Every action counts in raising financially intelligent children. So each time you make a conscious decision to invest in your personal growth, you're raising a financially intelligent child. Each time you manage your expenses well, you're raising a financially intelligent child. Each time you budget consistently and bringing them into the activity, you're raising financially intelligent children. Each time you're making good financial decisions, you're making an effort in raising a king. So there are some practical things to do to raise financially intelligent children. I'm going to tell you a few of them. In my book, Raising Financially Intelligent Children, we'll have a whole chapter dedicated to this. And I advise that you get that book if you want to kickstart your journey in raising financially intelligent children. So here I'll share with you the first practical thing to do in raising financially intelligent children is to teach them to avoid waste. Teach children to avoid waste. In my book, I shared how my father began our financial literacy journey by instilling values of avoiding waste. You know, the same discipline it takes to avoid wasting food is the same discipline it takes to avoid wasting money. When you teach children to avoid waste, they understand value. And if you can avoid waste in your finances, you're already winning at money management. When I think about the miracle that Jesus performed in the Bible with the 5 fishes and 2 loaves, I don't think Jesus performed that miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes to show his powers of multiplication. No, but to teach us that we can achieve more when we stop being wasteful. Our waste can do more than we expect. We are so wasteful, so wasteful that only our waste, what our waste can do, you can't imagine it. So we must be very, very careful in order to raise our children to become financially intelligent. Let us start by teaching them to avoid waste. Number 2 practical thing to do is to make sure we don't give them a sense of entitlement. How? It's true, it's very, very good to actually give children allowances, expose them to money on time, at the right amount, not too much. But don't just give them allowances, make them earn their allowances. And earning the allowances, I do not mean you have to substitute as their chores for money. No, they don't have to do chores. When you do that, you're already taking away a sense of responsibility. All you need to do is look for other things that they can do, that can add value, that they can learn from, that will make them earn their allowances. But before giving allowances, make sure you teach financial goal setting. It's very key to teach financial goal setting. Entitled children cannot face the realities of the world like we have it today. They can't. Because they believe everything will come to them. And by the time they get into the real world, they are shocked. Before they can realize what's happening to them, they've lost years. The most dangerous thing about entitlement is that when it becomes a habit, it becomes even more difficult to deal with. And most of us have already raised entitled children. But the most potent vaccination for entitlement is gratitude. Gratitude and contentment. When your children learn the values of gratitude and contentment, they do away with entitlement. And how do you teach gratitude? You demonstrate gratitude in your life. You let your life be a reflection of what it means to be thankful. Another practical thing to do is to live a modest lifestyle. Live within your means. When your children observe you spending wisely, making wise money decisions, living debt-free, they begin to assimilate those values. But in living a modest lifestyle, let's be careful. Children are very smart. If you always tell them we can't afford that, it can mean one thing to them. We are poor. Children worry about being poor. They want a good life too. So instead of saying we can't afford that, say we choose not to spend our money on that. When you say it this way, you send a positive message that you have money, but make wise money decisions, or make wise decisions on how to spend it. You need to read Raising Financially Intelligent Children. Another guide or practical thing to do is teach children financial management through storytelling. Storytelling is one of the best ways that you can teach a child. It's by telling him or her or telling them stories. But in telling them stories, be it folk tales, growing up, they told us a lot of folk tales to drive home some messages of values and attitude. But in telling your stories to teach financial management, make sure you drive messages that it is not the amount of money you have that matters, but what you do to do with it. Let that be your morals, your moral of the story. Make them understand that the same discipline it takes in managing 10 naira is the same discipline required in managing 1 million. If you can't manage the little you have, you can't manage plenty. First, as a parent, understand that the solution to your money problem is not more money. It is not how much you make that counts, but how well you can manage what you have. And you have to make your children understand this. They won't understand it plainly, but you can put them and fix them in stories. Let that be the morals of the stories that you tell them. Another practical thing to do is to teach them. Teach them the money house rules. Teach them that the same way life house rules, money house rules too. You can also imbibe this in your stories. In my book, I shared some vital money rules for children. You must make them understand that the rules of money is same in every geographical location. The rules of managing money doesn't change when you japa. If they can't manage money here in Nigeria, they won't manage it when they go abroad. Another practical thing is to teach investing with games. One of the most vital lessons to teach your children in wealth creation is risk-taking. And introducing money and investment games will teach them this, among other financial lessons. You must never raise a child who is afraid to take calculated in capitals, calculated risks. Some people say risks are dangerous, but security is actually the biggest solution in wealth creation. And you can try your best to explain this to your children. There's no wealth without risk. But remember, calculated risks. The difference between a gambler and somebody who is investing is knowledge, its attitude, its values, its goals. So in teaching your children risk taking, you must make sure that you imbibe in them the right money values, the right attitudes to money. Teach them how to set financial goals. Equip them with the right skills and knowledge. So there are several financial games, that involve rudiments of risk and consequences. Financial games help children, make risk evaluations, understand decision making, and understand the potential outcomes of their decisions. A common example is Monopoly. We all know Monopoly, Cash Flow 101, The Game of Life. These three games. But the most popular among them is Monopoly. And with Monopoly, your child learns financial management. From Monopoly, your child learns risk and reward, negotiation skills, property ownership, planning and strategy, learns to deal with debt, patience and perseverance, strategy alliance, savings and investing. If your children are not playing Monopoly, you've not started your money, your financial lessons yet. You've not started your journey to financial literacy. It's one of the easiest ways is to use games. And Monopoly is the game and it's fun. What a fun way to learn about money. The second to the last guide is to encourage holiday works, vocational apprenticeships. Like I said, when we're talking about lost generational wealth, the people who are actually inheriting our wealth are our apprentices, like we call them in Igbo. We must begin to encourage our children to take on vocational apprentices. I don't think holidays should be a time of taking extra lessons. There are other things to learn in life apart from what they are learning in school. And of course, what they're learning in school is actually not, financial literacy is not actually not part of it. So let holidays be a time to learn vocational apprenticeship. Let it be a time to engage in holiday works. There's a lot for them to learn from this. It will help them develop their creative skills. It will help them develop their entrepreneurial skills. Holiday jobs will start a sense of entrepreneurship. It will remove a sense of entitlement. So it will help them build skills in budgeting, in pricing, and customer interactions, marketing. You can name the skills they can start learning on time if you start early. And if you have a business, make them apprentices. Like I said before, our apprentices are the kings we are raising. Make your children part of those kings you're raising. Teach them your craft. You've mastered the craft of money making. Teach them. Money making is an art. Teach them your art of money making. Start early. It's when you don't start early that you start saying, no, they don't like my business, they don't like coming around. Because from when they were in kindergarten, you've been telling them to be doctors and lawyers. That's the only thing you tell them. You don't even model yourself. You don't even model your business to them. So they lost interest. You never put any interest in them. Do you remember, children are like a blank book. What you write in those books is what will remain. So during holidays, let them work. If they can bake, if they can't bake, teach them. Take them to where they can learn skills on how to bake, how to do different things. Encourage them to create holiday cards, designs, and sell them to friends. Encourage children, encouraging children to do some of these tasks helps them understand how to create opportunities, financial opportunities. It helps them to create opportunities through problem solving. Remember that making money is an outcome of solving problems and creating values. Remember that making money is an outcome of solving problems and creating values. And the last practical thing to do in raising financially intelligent children is to teach them to avoid wastes. In my book, I shared how, while growing up, my father abhorred wastes and started our financial literacy lessons by teaching us to avoid wastes, which I think I have shared before. So the point to note is that a child will understand value from learning to avoid waste. So if you're wondering how to start from avoiding waste. So in concluding, I want you to take this message home. Ambition, Jim Brown said that ambition unused declines. Feelings unused diminishes. Faith unused decreases. Energy unused decreases. Today unused is lost. I know the economy is hard, and most people use that as an excuse not to improve and blame all their problems on the government. I'll tell you this. The last 6,000 years have been mixed with difficulties and opportunities. The question is what you do with it. Utilize the opportunities. Don't complain. It's up to you. Do you want to utilize the opportunities or you want to complain about the difficulties? But know that things won't change until you change. Raising financially intelligent children or child is like a gift to your own self because you will also become literate. So your decision to start your journey to financial literacy can start today. with purchasing our book or my book, which is Raising Financially Literate Children. Your journey can start today also by joining our accountability program, the Money Kid program, where you're taught to become the best version of your financial self. So I want you to come and learn how you can raise financial kings, or those who sit at the table with kings and those who make kings. So every day is a choice. What you do with today's economy is a choice. What you do with my message today is a choice. Financial literacy remains a choice. But you don't have to remain the same after tonight. I hope you start making the right choices. And thank you. So I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for staying till the end.
Thank you very much, Coach Chukwuemeka.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was a fire session. Wow.
Thank you.
Let's
you,
send in that thank yous. Let's send in our thank yous. That was fireful. Wow, wow, wow. The money coach. No wonder you're actually the money coach. That was great, sir. That was awesome. This can only be found in the TIP. Thank you so much, sir. We didn't take this for granted. Wow,
Thank you very much.
wow.
I don't know if you have questions.
Question and answers, please. Just send in your questions. Send in your questions. And you know, I really, this blew my mind when you said transfer of wealth without knowledge will only add to the statistics of lost generational wealth. Wow. That really blew my mind. That the poverty mindset cannot raise kings. So are we raising kings or are we raising servants? And please, you are going to log in for and getting the books, Raising Financial Intelligent Children. That's a book from our coach, Coach Chukwuemeka.
Raising financially intelligent, financially literate children.
Raising financially literate children.
Yes, that's the book, Raising Financially Literate Children.
Thank you, sir. So we have questions from the participants. And please, let's do well to follow Coach Chukwuemeka on Instagram, the Naira Academy, at the Naira Academy, please. And as you're watching, hit the like button, please, and subscribe to this channel. This comes to you at a free rate. This is coming from the TIP for free. This is for free. Please do well to hit the like button. And the questions there, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Coach. Can you see the questions?
Yes, can you read the question?
Says,
okay.
Yes, please.
Can frugality also be used to teach our children financial literacy? Yes. Yes, frugality can be used to teach financial literacy. Like I said, of course, we don't want to teach them to spend anyhow. We want to teach them actually to be frugal. So by being frugal ourselves, they learn to be frugal. Remember I said that financial literacy is taught to children by becoming it. You don't raise a king if you're not a king. Raising a king, the first approach to raising a king is to become a king. How do you raise a king when you're not a king? You don't sit at the table of kings. You're not part of those who make kings. So you must be one of those. So when you become frugal with money, your children are watching you. They will in turn learn from you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And some of the points I also noted was that even when we are teaching our children, most of us are found guilty. You said we should teach our children to avoid waste. Most parents are wasteful. So we need to start by ourselves. Parenting is all about us. We need to start with us. We need to start being grateful, showing gratitude and being contented. It begins with us. So we have to be kings ourselves, to be the king makers, to raise kings.
and to make our children sit with kings. It starts with us. Thank you very much, sir. And the next question,
Questions?
yes.
Any more questions? And if you want
Okay,
to get my book,
I
please
think,
just reach out to our handle on Instagram. Reach out to our numbers. Our numbers will be displayed on the screen. Send us a message on WhatsApp. Send us a DM on Instagram at the Naira Academy. Send us a DM on Facebook at the Naira Academy, and we will respond to you and give you the link to purchase our book. The book is currently in pre-order, so at this point, it's on a price slash.
thank you so much, sir. Please send in the fire emoji send in that fire emoji for Coach Chukwuemeka. That was great. That was wonderful. That
Thank you
was
very
great. At
much.
a point, I was
I'm glad
standing
to be
up.
here.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. Thank
I'm
you
glad
so
to
much,
be.
sir. We are
Thank
glad
you
to
very
do
much.
this with you. Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
sir.
Thank
Please
you.
sit tight for the next session. This is TIP Academy brought to you. This is from TIP. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned. We have another session coming up. Thank you, Coach Chukwuemeka, for now. Thank you very much for being with us. And please, I know you've enjoyed this session as much as I do. Send in that fire emoji. This was great.
I came in contact with the Intentional Parent Academy almost a year ago now. It was during the annual conference in July. I saw the link on one of my friend's statuses and I clicked and I joined and I attended. It was a transforming event, to say the least. I had thought I was doing well with my parenting. I wasn't doing too badly. But in that conference, I found out that there was so much I wasn't doing. I hadn't even, as it were, scratched the surface. I was doing so many things, but I didn't know why. And like we say in the inner circle, he who knows why is greater than he who knows how. So I booked a slot during the conference with 5,000 and I paid installmentally until I joined the yard on the 1st of December 2023. It's been 7 months, and in that time, my thought process about parenting has radically changed. We say that an inner circle parent is a thinking parent. There are things that I have started to do that has just transformed my home, my relationship with my husband, with my co-workers, and with my children. We have become more connected than ever before. They talk to me even more freely than they used to before, and they are able to contribute in their growing up. I don't treat them just as children. They have been brought up to par with me in the area of contributing to different decisions, and that has made them more responsible. It was my daughter's wedding last week, and there were some decisions I took that wowed me. There were things that went against the grain that I was able to implement, and successfully too, because of what I had learned in the inner circle. I joined the inner circle in my 23rd year of marriage. So I want to tell you, nobody is too far gone. There is no time that you cannot change your parenting game, even if you're a grandmother. We have grandmothers in the yard, and I'm so glad that I made that decision. It has changed the game for me in my parenting and in my life generally. I'm grateful to the academy. I'm grateful to Coach Wendy. And I want you to take my word for it. Book a slot, sign up, and see if you will not have testimonies like I do. Looking forward to seeing you in the year.